genuinely don't think our brains are built to understand how big some kaiju have become. So today we're looking at 25 of the largest kaiju ever put on screen. And before anyone comes at me in the comments, no, this isn't ranked by size. I've ranked these based on how legendary I think they are, while still keeping the focus on some of the biggest movie monsters ever. Kicking off the list is Lizzy from Rampage, and boy, I have to admit, I completely forgot there was supposed to be a third monster for a while.
Sir, we have a bogey headed north in the river, half-mile out.
The movie spends so much time building up George and Ralph that Lizzy almost feels like a surprise boss fight. At around 200 feet tall, she's one of the smallest monsters on this list, which honestly sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud. And you see, Lizzy wasn't some ancient titan that had been sleeping beneath the earth for thousands of years.
Davis, there's something big in the river.
She was just an ordinary crocodile living in the Florida Everglades until a genetically engineered pathogen turned her into a 200-foot nightmare.
Direct all forces at that thing now!
He somehow gets overlooked, which is crazy because this guy is literally a walking mountain. And whoever designed Methuselah deserves some credit, because making a titan look like an actual mountain is such a cool idea. Coming in at number 23, he's one of the few versions of Godzilla that genuinely makes me uncomfortable. The whole movie, he's constantly changing, constantly adapting, and you get the sense that this poor thing doesn't even understand what's happening to itself. Every few seconds, the movie somehow finds a way to make that atomic beam even more terrifying. One detail I absolutely love is his eyes. Right before he fires the beam, this extra eyelid slides over like a built-in welding mask. Nobody would have complained if they left that out, but they added it anyway, and it's those little touches that make Shin feel weirdly believable. And I may sound crazy right now, but you can't hate this 390-foot kaiju. I know he's flattening cities, but he looks like he's in more pain than everyone else. Yeah, I know the anime is what everyone thinks of first, but since this is a movie list, we're talking about the live-action Colossal Titan. I'm not going to sit here and pretend the movies are better than the anime, they're not, but I honestly think the Colossal Titan was one of the things they actually got right here. And the first shot of his jaw slowly peeking over the wall, yeah, that's still terrifying, isn't it? You don't even see the whole Titan at first, just a giant skinless face staring over the edge. It's such a simple shot, but it does all the work. The movies aren't exactly fan favourites. I think they did a decent job with the Colossal Titan. The scale actually felt right. Well, when Plan A, Plan B and Plan C all fail, you combine them.
Locating his position.
Hostiles one click away and closing fast. Oh, Jaegers, brace for contact. Disengage and brace for contact.
That's exactly how the Mega Kaiju comes to life. After the Jaegers manage to hold their own against Regent, Hakuja and Strikethorn individually, the precursors decide to fuse all three into one giant hybrid. Because, look at it, you can still tell where each of the three Kaiju ended up after the fusion. It doesn't look like a bigger monster slapped together for the finale. It actually feels like three different creatures forced into one body, and that's such a cool design choice. I'll be honest, the Mega Kaiju deserved a better movie. Even people who weren't sold on Pacific Rim Uprising usually agree that this design genuinely has some potential. It's one of those rare cases where the monster gets almost universal praise. It's just the movie around it that fans still argue about. balls to go straight at Ghidorah. It's honestly one of my favourite things about him. Every franchise has that one character who thinks, I can take him, regardless of how terrible the odds are. That's Rodan. Baragon has to be one of the strangest success stories in the Godzilla franchise because this guy became a fan favourite without ever getting his own movie.
How many buildings can the thing take?
Throughout the 80s and 90s, Baragon kept showing up in one cancelled Godzilla project after another. Every time it looked like this was finally going to be his big break, the movie got shelved. And at this point, I'd say he had the worst luck in the franchise. The crazy part is that none of that stopped fans from loving him. If anything, the cancellations made him even more mysterious. At 492 feet, Baragon might be the only kaiju whose biggest battle was against the production schedule. Dagara has one of these origin stories where you immediately know this isn't going to end well. He was originally created to clean up pollution. Which sounds like a great idea, right until he starts producing millions of mutant starfish that wiped out the very civilization that built him. Design-wise, he's one of Toho's most underrated monsters. It looks like something that actually belongs in the deepest part of the ocean instead of another giant dinosaur with a different colour palette. Imagine a dragon, a sea monster, and a pollution vacuum all rolled into one. Crossing the 197 feet mark, Dagara is one of the most iconic monsters on this list.
そなたたちが秘宝と呼ぶものを作らせたのです。ところが、それが出来上がった直後に大地震が起き。
No! Stay on course.
Manda has always felt like the odd one out, and I mean that as a compliment actually. While everyone else is out here shooting lasers and levelling cities, Manda is basically an ancient sea dragon that spent thousands of years getting worshipped by an underwater civilization. The funniest part is that Manda somehow managed to appear in multiple Godzilla movies and still flies under the radar. Then there's the fact that this giant sea serpent can apparently hit 100 kilometers per hour on land, which raises one very important question. What exactly was he doing in Destroy All Monsters? Conserving energy? After literally tearing another Titan in half, I'd say that picking a fight with Godzilla can either end your story or accidentally give you a It's honestly kind of crazy how Frost Vark became one of the standout new Titans with barely 10 minutes of screen time. The moment it bursts out from beneath the Alaskan snow and stomps their plane, you realise this thing isn't just another ice monster. It sucks the heat out of everything around it, freezing people and machinery solid in just seconds. That's such a unique twist. And it makes every encounter feel way more terrifying because if you're giving off heat, you're basically ringing the dinner bell. Frost Vark easily has one of the most memorable Monsterverse designs. Hopefully this isn't the last we've seen of it because I'd love to watch it go toe to toe with some of the bigger Titans someday.
Get to the plant!
He starts out as an alien life form, the Millennium, but after absorbing Godzilla's DNA, things go, well, very, very wrong. Instead of becoming the perfect life form, it mutates into this massive, hunched kaiju with ridiculously long arms that honestly look like an alien gorilla. The funniest part is that Orga gets a little too confident. He literally tries to swallow Godzilla whole so he can absorb even more of his DNA. Well, that was a bad idea. The second he was inside, Godzilla fired a nuclear pulse and blew Orga's entire upper body clean off. It's honestly a shame Orga has never returned after Godzilla 2000. He's got one of the coolest designs in the Millennium era, and I'd love to see Toho bring him back for another movie someday. I'll never get over the fact that one of the Justice League's oldest and most dangerous villains is a giant starfish. If someone told me he was one of DC's most dangerous villains, I'd assume they were making fun of me. I also love how Starro has somehow survived every era of comics. No matter how serious or ridiculous DC gets, there's always room for a giant alien starfish that somehow ends up being one of the biggest threats on the planet. James Gunn absolutely understood the assignment too. The Suicide Squad somehow made me feel bad for a giant alien starfish, but by the end, I wasn't even rooting against Starro anymore. I mean, humans really are the problem sometimes, aren't they?
Miss Waller, I think the feed is back up. Oh my God, Miss Waller! We've got a freaking kaiju up in this shit!
We'll be fighting in close quarters with the most tenacious of all sea beasts.
The Beast is the whole reason this story ever happens, and somehow it still gets overshadowed by Captain Nemo. For the first half of the movie, everyone's obsessed with hunting this mysterious sea monster sinking ships left and right. You've got scientists, government sending warships, and Ned Land sharpening that harpoon like he's about to end the mystery himself.
Giant squid astern, sir.
But the monster turns out to be the Nautilus. When the actual beast finally shows up, it wastes absolutely no time turning the Nautilus into a chew toy. Also, there's no fancy superpowers involved, it's just a giant sea creature versus one of the greatest submarines ever.
Well, there's only one thing a fella can do when he's made a mistake as big as this. What? Get drunk.
For a monster that's only on screen for one major fight, Knifehead leaves a ridiculously strong impression. The moment it crawls out of the ocean, you immediately understand why humanity was losing this war. I also love its design. It's basically a giant goblin shark mixed with a living battering ram, and that massive blade sticking out of its face isn't just there to look cool. It literally tears Gypsy Danger's arm clean off, which is still one of the most brutal moments in the movie. You can almost feel the panic setting in once the Jaeger starts losing pieces. What really sold Knifehead to me though, was how intelligent it was. It quickly realised the Jaeger wasn't the real target, the pilots were. So instead of trying to overpower Gypsy Danger, it goes straight for the cockpit. Now, that might be just a little simple detail for anyone, but for me, it was a banger. Bro was built to kill. We're talking about one of the most iconic sea monsters in history now. This thing has been terrifying soldiers for centuries, appearing in films such as Pirates of the Caribbean and Clash of the Titans. Unlike what we saw at number 12, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, they didn't just make it a giant squid with no special powers. They leaned into what makes real cephalopods so fascinating. Camouflage, multiple hearts, crazy intelligence, then turned all of that up to Titan levels. Now, that's what I'm talking about. The only thing I can't forgive is teasing us all of this and never letting the Kraken crash the party in King of the Monsters. We had Titans showing up from all over the world, and somehow the one everyone wanted to see missed the invite. I feel like Underwater is one of these movies that got way more appreciation after it came out. I don't think enough people caught the Cthulhu reveal the first time round. You can almost see the gears turning as they start connecting all the clues they missed the first time. The film never rushes to show Cthulhu. Instead, it lets the earthquakes, the strange noises, and that constant feeling of dread do all the work. And honestly, setting him at the bottom of the Mariana Trench just makes too much sense. If there was ever a place where humanity could accidentally wake up an ancient cosmic horror, it would be somewhere we've barely explored ourselves. Stretching somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 feet with these colossal tentacles reaching across the ocean floor, Cthulhu deserves a solid place in this list.
Welcome aboard the Roebuck. Striker, we see him. We're right behind.
Slattern was the monster that proved that things could get much worse. The second it comes out of the breach, you just know this isn't another monster for the Jaegers to punch around. This is the one they were saving for last. I also love its design. It's got that weird hammerhead shark face, 4 glowing eyes, 3 tails that can stab Jaegers from every direction, and then it randomly pulls out a giant chest spike like it wasn't already unfair enough. Every time I watch the fight, I'm like, bro, how many weapons does this guy even have? Honestly, Slattern got the kind of ending you expect from the final boss. It took an entire Jaeger diving into another dimension and detonating a nuclear reactor just to make sure this thing stayed dead. Everything about this thing feels unfair. It's heavier than Godzilla, its front limbs hit like wrecking balls, and it doesn't just fight Godzilla, it evolved to do it. You know how every video game has that one boss that feels like it was designed specifically to ruin your build? That's Muto Prime. And that's the part that always gets me. Bro isn't even trying to kill Godzilla. From its perspective, the fight's already over the second those eggs get planted. That's such a messed up survival strategy, and honestly, one of the darkest pieces of MonsterVerse lore. I also can't get enough of those forearms. They're so ridiculously oversized that you almost laugh. Right until they start throwing Godzilla around. At that point, you realise the design has a job to do. At 350 feet, Muto Prime feels less like another Titan and more like the MonsterVerse's answer to an apex predator. MonsterVerse. On one side, you've got fans who love that he actually gets a character arc. He's expressive, he connects with humans, and unlike most Titans, you can usually tell exactly what he's thinking about without him saying a word. Then you've got the Godzilla fans wondering how Kong somehow ended up with half the movie again. And honestly, I kinda get both sides. Before Skull Island, Kong's story usually ended the same way. Someone took him off the island, he climbed a tall building, and things didn't exactly end well. The MonsterVerse finally gave him room to be more than that, and I think that's why so many people connected with this version. It's about to start a war in the comments. I still remember watching Monster X for the first time and thinking, Who invited this guy? After watching Godzilla bulldoze basically the entire roster, seeing Monster X finally slow him down was so satisfying. And that's what I love about him. The movie spends so much time making you wonder what this thing actually is. The bone-like armor, those glowing red eyes, the shoulder skulls, everything about him feels off in the best possible way. Then comes the reveal. I still think that transformation to Kaiser Ghidorah is one of the coolest moments in Final Wars. Suddenly all those little design details click into place and you realise Toho had been hinting at it the whole time. With this gigantic personality, Monster X feels exactly like what a final boss should be. The more you watch her, the sadder the whole thing gets. Every time the Scar King raises that crystal, Shimo starts roaring in pain. Even the guy knew he couldn't control Shimo through strength, so he controlled her through suffering instead. That's way more disturbing than just having a bigger monster. I don't think any version of Godzilla has ever felt as uncomfortable as Godzilla Earth. Think about that for a second. Every Godzilla movie is about finding some way to stop him. Here, everyone just left the planet. This guy didn't evolve from some giant reptile, he literally evolved from plant life, which somehow makes him even creepier. I know the anime trilogy gets a lot of mixed reactions, but I don't think many people argue with the concepts. A planet ruled by Godzilla, Mechagodzilla turning into a living city, Void Ghidorah existing beyond normal space. On paper, that's one of the coolest directions the franchise has ever taken. Don't take it the wrong way, but I like the idea of Mechagodzilla Earth as a city, as in the city itself. But they could at least give him a full and true appearance as well as frontline combat against Earth. Also, Godzilla Earth deserves to be remembered for more than just the trilogy he came from. You know why I put Clover this high? Because almost 20 years later, we're still arguing about what this thing actually was. Was it a baby? Was it fully grown? Did it come from the deep ocean? Another dimension? Space?
People still out there.
Every time I think the fandom has settled on an answer, someone finds another theory that somehow makes just as much sense. And honestly, I think that's why Clover has aged so well. The movie never wastes time explaining it. It just drops this impossible creature into New York and lets the audience panic alongside everyone else. Then you've got the parasites, the found footage perspective, the lack of clear answers. Everything about Clover just feels unsettling. What puts Clover this high for me is that this monster is only half the problem. Between the parasites, the collapsing city, and the military trying to contain the situation, the whole night just keeps getting worse. Even if Clover walks away, you're still probably not making it home.
Oh no!
The analysis program isn't responding, and 80% of the system just keeps giving us runtime errors.
What the hell is going on?
How do you even rank something that technically isn't supposed to exist? Like, this dude doesn't even show up normally. Bro gets summoned through a ritual, starts coming out of black holes, bends physics, and Godzilla literally can't touch him.
Target coordinates. What numbers are these? Where is it planning on taking the ship?
I don't even compare Void Ghidorah to the other Ghidorahs anymore. They're playing completely different games. One destroys planets, the other makes you question whether planets even matter.
Again!
I also love how they flip the rivalry. Usually Godzilla and Ghidorah are just two overpowered monsters trying to beat each other up. Here, it almost feels like reality itself is on Ghidorah's side. The only reason Godzilla even gets a chance is because someone else messes up the connection between Ghidorah in our universe. That's such a crazy concept, isn't it?
No, there's no signal. Only the expanding gravitational field is giving off any kind of reading. Nothing else is coming in on the screen.
No matter how you rank the rest of the list, I don't think there was ever another choice for number 1.
The shield doesn't work against the bites? The defense shield that we struggled so much with. But that thing...
And that's 25 monsters ranked, and honestly, I still can't wrap my head around some of these numbers. We went from a mutated crocodile to something that literally comes out of black holes. That's kind of insane when you think about it, isn't it? Anyway, if your pick didn't make it to the list, let me know in the comments because there are genuinely so many kaiju that we couldn't fit in. Drop a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.